Hi, my name is Linda and I'm 32 years old. I work as a financial analyst here in Columbus, Ohio. Last Thanksgiving, while surrounded by aunts, uncles, cousins, and siblings, my mother stood, coffee cup raised, and cut me down. She looked directly at me and told everyone listening, "Linda is the black sheep of this family." The words stung harder than any cold November wind. What my family didn't realize, what no one in that room understood, was the truth hiding beneath years. The black sheep had been paying their bills, funding their celebrations, saving them from foreclosure and collapse. That night, anger finally replaced guilt and silence broke. I was ready to reveal everything I had carried. I grew up in a modest 3-bedroom house on Maple Street, the kind with squeaky floors, a tire swing, and Sunday pancakes. From the beginning, my life was measured against Marcus. He was 3 years older, golden-haired, charming, quick with jokes. Marcus became the star quarterback, the pride of our school. Friday nights, the whole town seemed to orbit his spotlight. Mom painted his jersey number on her cheek with glitter. Dad paced the sidelines, shouting advice like a professional coach. Meanwhile, I sat in the bleachers with textbooks balanced carefully, trying to finish calculus by stadium lights while cheers roared. When Marcus brought home a C+, the house erupted in celebration. When I brought home straight A's, I got a distracted nod. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" became a refrain. It was muttered over sinkfuls of dishes, whispered at church, even written once in my birthday card by a careless aunt. Every comparison was a reminder that brilliance only counted with applause. By junior year, I was valedictorian, holding note cards like shields. I crafted a speech about perseverance and finding your own path. But the night before graduation, my parents fussed over Marcus's cap. "Don't talk too long, Linda," Mom said, snapping another picture. The next day, I spoke to an audience half distracted, whispers passing between relatives who were waiting for Marcus's turn. When my brother's name was called, the stadium roared alive. Their cheers drowned out every word I had poured into paper. That day etched something sharp inside me. I was invisible. My victories were footnotes, my existence a shadow in photographs. College planning revealed even more about where loyalty truly lay. Marcus got into Ohio State with a partial football scholarship. Mom planned dorm shopping trips. Dad bragged about tailgating season. For me, community college was declared the smart financial choice. "You can get basics done for half the price," Dad insisted. What he didn't say, there wasn't money left for me. So Marcus left for Columbus with a laptop and fridge. I enrolled downtown, commuting from home, juggling shifts at the bookstore. The campus bookstore became my unlikely sanctuary and classroom. Mrs. Peterson, the manager, had once studied accounting and finance. She noticed the way I balanced tills with perfect precision. "You've got a head for numbers, Linda," she told me. Until then, I thought I'd study education, something safe. But she planted a seed. Finance could be my path. She began showing me how profit margins told their own story, how every receipt carried lessons about risk, loss, and growth. She believed in me with a motherly warmth I rarely felt. Her confidence stitched up places my family had left ragged. Soon I was tutoring algebra, joining Honor Society, maintaining 4.0 GPA. Numbers, I realized, told stories as real as any words. While I stacked shelves of textbooks, Marcus stacked beer cups. His social media filled with parties, games, and endless fun. At first, calls home were full of adventures and charm. By sophomore year, they were mostly about needing more money. Meal plans didn't cover late-night wings. Textbooks were unreasonably expensive. Dad grumbled, Mom sighed, but somehow money always appeared. Meanwhile, I saved every paycheck, scraped scholarships, and plotted transfer applications. When I finally moved to a 4-year university, it felt miraculous. Professors challenged me, pushed me, and noticed my talent for analysis. I saw balance sheets like maps, spotting trends others missed. An internship opened at a regional investment firm, and I leapt. There, I was no longer Marcus's sister. I was Linda. For 8 hours a day, I was judged on merit. Not my quiet nature, not my lack of charm, just skill. Senior analysts listened when I spoke. My charts told the truth. Respect tasted sweeter than any cheer I'd missed in bleachers. But storms gathered back home while I was building stability. Dad's construction business faltered as the housing market softened quickly. Marcus drifted, changing majors, falling behind, finally dropping out entirely. By 24, he was back in his old bedroom sulking. That's when the first tearful call came from Mom. "Mortgage overdue," Dad ashamed. Marcus lost. Could I spare $500? It was my security deposit fund, but I transferred it immediately. Don't worry about paying me back, I said quietly. That one call became a pattern, an endless, hungry cycle. Groceries, car repairs, utility bills, medical co-pays. Linda would cover it. Each time I told myself, family comes first, family above all. What I didn't see was the story quietly rewriting itself. At gatherings, Marcus was still praised for his potential and heart. I was teased as the career woman, the corporate robot. My sacrifices were invisible, but my independence was suspect. And year after year, resentment began blooming quietly inside me. The pattern began quietly, like a drip behind drywall. Mom called whispering numbers. Bills stacked like leaning towers. "Sweetheart, the mortgage is late," she said, paper cut thin. "Your father's proud. I'm asking because I have to." I split my paycheck into envelopes labeled survival. Rent, groceries, loans, a tiny square marked family. $500 left my account with a friendly chime. "Don't worry about paying me back," I said automatically. Next month, another call wore the same perfume. "Just utilities," she promised. "Bridge us until Friday." Bridges became highways. Highways became the only road. Marcus phoned with charm and exclamation points. "Linda, you're the best," he said. "I'll fix this soon." Soon stretched like taffy until it snapped noiselessly. At dinner, concern about me arrived dressed as kindness. "Linda works too much," Mom told Aunt Helen, stirring gravy. "We worry she's forgetting relationships, the truly important things." I smiled like a polite stranger and passed the rolls. Dad's construction business slid from struggle into free fall. A client vanished. Equipment sold for pennies. I researched refinancing and hardship programs at midnight. When Mom finally called, I already had the script. "How much brings the mortgage current?" I asked, spreadsheets open. $3,000, she whispered, "but don't tell your father." I transferred it, then paced my one bedroom like weather. Marcus leveled up in romance while I balanced ledgers. He proposed to Sarah. The engagement party bloomed. I covered the food when invoices disappeared conveniently. Wedding planning grew a bottomless stomach overnight. 5,000 swelled to 8, then 12 with confetti. "Every bride deserves flowers," Mom said, choosing roses. "Every party needs an open bar," Marcus insisted loudly. I signed checks like a bridesmaid nobody could see. Venue deposit, photographer, tuxedo fittings, all approved. I told myself generosity might stitch the family straighter. 3 months after vows, life announced a twist. Sarah was pregnant. Celebration flooded the group chat. Complications joined early, expensive and frightening. "Insurance won't cover it," Marcus said, already apologizing. "It's $3,000 out of pocket for treatments." My thumb hovered, then I pressed send again. The more I gave, the stranger conversations sounded. Relatives praised Marcus for trying hard despite obstacles. I became a cautionary tale about ambition and money. "Money can't hug you," Mom said, glossy-eyed, rehearsed. When I mentioned a promotion, Uncle Bob waved dismissively. "Look at you climb," he said, like I'd stolen rungs. Cousin Jennifer asked why I traveled alone so often. "Are you settling down like normal people?" she pressed. Normal people didn't keep receipts like rosary beads. I tucked every transfer into a spreadsheet that breathed dates, amounts, memos, footnotes to a story unread. Marcus's jobs arrived and evaporated like summer storms. He interviewed brilliantly, then missed deadlines reliably. "Politics," he said. "Bad fit, toxic culture." Rent came due anyway. I funded the attempt. Then a police officer called trembling one night. Marcus crashed Mom's car after drinking with friends. He wasn't hurt. The car was finished. There would be fines, fees, educational courses. I left a movie early and opened my laptop, arranged debts into columns, found a reliable used car, covered a retainer for a lawyer with experience. Family breathed easier. I breathed shallower, counting backwards. Every time I asked about treatment or budgets, I became negative and cold, too practical and judgmental. "Let people dream," Mom said, smoothing his tie. "Your brother has a good heart, you know that." At church, people admired my parents' strength and Marcus's potential. They admired my handbag, then frowned at my schedule. I shook hands, smiled, and mailed another grocery check. When Sarah left Marcus, the house tilted noticeably. Officially, they were taking time, learning their needs. Unofficially, she was exhausted by broken promises. Marcus moved back home, as if gravity lived there. He slept late, promised interviews, borrowed the truck. I paid the insurance again, apparently because I should. The policy renewed with my name hidden. as always. Thanksgiving approached like a forecasted storm. I bought wine, thoughtful gifts, and my best intentions. I ironed a dress that said yes to patience. The table gleamed under candles and polished speeches. Relatives arrived with casseroles and comments wrapped in foil. Marcus lounged on the couch, yawning behind his sleeve. Mom adjusted place cards and perfected her public smile. Before dessert, conversation steered toward futures and faith. Mom praised Marcus's interviews, perseverance, and big heart. Nobody mentioned who funded months between interviews. When I suggested budgets and realistic timelines gently, the room chilled like a draft under an old door. "Not everyone thinks in spreadsheets, Linda," Aunt Helen scolded. "Some of us prioritize people over numbers," she added. I tucked my hands under the table, palms burning. My mouth tasted like nickels. My smile stayed practiced. Somewhere, a pie cooled. The clock stopped listening. Somewhere inside me, a hinge creaked toward refusal. 2 days later, the group chat celebrated Marcus again. "Second interview scheduled," Mom typed. Emojis marched proudly. "Proud of you, sweetheart," Dad added, thumbs up glowing. I typed congratulations, deleted it, then typed again. The interview dissolved. The explanation arrived familiar, polished. "Wrong culture," Marcus said. "They don't value creative spirits." Rent arrived louder. Gratitude arrived nowhere in particular. My therapist circled the word boundaries on her pad. "Practice saying no in easy places," she suggested gently. "Say no to something small you always absorb." I started with office coffee runs and guilted smiles. My heart pounded like I defied a statute. Saying no at home felt like heresy. Mom called about a late fee. I suggested negotiating. She cried softly, and my resolve cracked like sugar. I paid it, then stared at the ceiling again. The wedding album grinned from the mantel permanently. I could count what each smile had cost. Which angle hid the invoice for flowers? Which toast landed on my credit card? One evening, Dad called with his voice softened. "Kiddo, your mother's surgery bill is past due." I inhaled, exhaled, opened the glowing application. Paid it, then walked until streetlights blurred. Tom found me counting lampposts like income streams. "Do you ever get thanked?" he asked gently. "Sometimes," I said, in code, and shrugged. "What does code thank you even mean?" "It means Mom tells people I work too hard. It means Uncle Bob calls me a corporate robot. It means everyone praises Marcus's heart while spending my transfers. It means I pretend this is love wearing different shoes." He stopped, turned, and picked a quiet sentence. "Love without respect spends your money and renames your worth." We stood under a maple shedding red confetti. I wanted to cry. Efficiency held my face. The baby bills returned with cousin commentary attached. "Children are priceless," Aunt Helen posted, tagging me conspicuously. "Family comes first," she added, as if brand new wisdom. I mailed another check and swallowed the paper cuts. Then the foreclosure letter arrived like thunder. Mom's voice shook. Dad's voice hid far away. "The bank is serious," she said. "We could lose everything." I opened my laptop and saw my savings blinking. "Sell the house," I said softly, almost apologizing. Silence flooded the line, then a tremor. "This is our home," she said, heartbreak stubbornly. "This is also math," I answered, letting steal. We fought politely, which hurts in a special way. I sent links to apartments near Dad's new job. Worksheets, budgets, agencies, options nobody had considered honestly. I did not send money. My finger refused. Days stretched. Then Mom texted a photograph wordlessly. A sold sign tilted, sun flashing against the post. "We'll be okay," she wrote, eventually. Then a heart. I sat down and let relief bruise me. Meanwhile, Marcus reached bottom the way stories require. He lost another job, then lost Sarah completely. A friend offered a couch with conditions and honesty. The friend required rent and recommended treatment gently. I did not pay his deposit. I did not. I went to therapy and practiced scaffolding breath. My hands stopped shaking when the phone rang. The ringtone lost power to command obedience. Mom described packing dishes in Sunday comics. The basement, a museum of good intentions, surrendered. She asked about my week and actually listened. Progress sounded like drawers closing instead of slamming. One afternoon, Marcus called with a different voice. Not charming, not defensive, not selling fog. "I started a program," he said, "and I'm sorry." Silence greeted him. I didn't rescue or punish. He continued anyway, choosing honest pavement clumsily. "I used you," he said, "and I let them. I thought good hearts were coupons for other people's work. I thought love meant never paying my own bill. I watched leaves reorganize themselves along the stoop. I hope you keep doing the program," I said. I hope you keep a job longer than one season. I hope you learn budgets and apologies and calendars." He exhaled, then laughed, small and newly human. "Me too," he said. "I'm trying, weirdly enough." We hung up. Dusk held its breath carefully. The sky practiced forgiveness without guarantees or timelines. Thanksgiving loomed again, nutmeg and caution in air. I bought wine, yes, but also packed a boundary. I rehearsed sentences with tidy periods and pauses. No more rescuing disguised as hospitality this time. The living room filled with coats, steam, and stories. Marcus hugged me for real, not for show. Dad asked about work and waited for answers. Mom's smile flickered, then settled into something humbler. Dessert plates circled, coffee steamed in generous mugs. Relatives swapped memories, some tender, some edited. Then Mom stood, cup lifted, and cleared her throat. I braced. History prefers repetition to truth. "You know," she began, voice poised like ribbon, "I've been thinking about how different my children are." She praised Marcus, heart, warmth, perseverance like a hymn. Heads nodded, a choir repeating the chorus. Then came the sentence that unstitched my patience. "Linda has always been the black sheep," she declared. Silverware paused. The clock stumbled. My face burned. For once I didn't shrink. I found my feet. I set my plate down, aligned with the napkin. Met her eyes and felt my heartbeat steady. The room waited for me to apologize or flee. I reached for truth instead, the one I funded. "Perfect," I said, voice even as a ledger. I let the silence widen like a doorway. Somewhere, the hinge inside me finished moving. What came next would change everything we believed. I didn't sit back down after Mom finished her sentence. Instead, I stood straighter, as if someone leveled the floor. All the years of nodding politely gathered behind me. They lifted my chin and steadied my breathing, finally. "Perfect," I repeated, voice even as fresh-printed spreadsheets. "Then stop using my money to stay afloat." Forks paused midair. An uncle coughed into his napkin. Mom blinked rapidly, irritation and panic trading places. "Linda, this is not appropriate," she said, smile cracking. "We can discuss budgets privately later as a family." "We've discussed privately for years," I answered, still calm. I unlocked my phone, thumbprint and muscle memory cooperating. The banking app opened to a familiar gallery of transfers. Dates lined up like fence posts. Memos read as captions. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, repairs. Quiet nouns with loud consequences. "Here," I said, turning the screen so everyone could see. $1,500 every month straight to your checking. $8,000 to the wedding vendors, paid in installments. $3,000 when Dad's business failed after the bankruptcy. And another $1,200 for surgery, then more for utilities. Plus, the time I replaced the furnace in January. Uncle Bob leaned forward, glasses low, humor temporarily misplaced. Aunt Helen whispered something about tone and timing, defensive. Marcus stared at the carpet like it might answer. He rubbed his temples, then his jaw, then nothing. "Linda," Mom said, voice dropping to a sharp whisper. "This is cruel. You know your brother is struggling." Struggling doesn't spend my accounts without saying thank you. Struggling doesn't call me selfish between automatic withdrawals. I scrolled again, the numbers mounting like snowdrifts. 47,000 roughly across 4 years of crises. Dad cleared his throat, then folded into his chair. "Kiddo," he began, "we appreciate everything you've done." "Do you?" I asked, letting the quiet widen carefully. Because gratitude doesn't humiliate me in front of relatives. Gratitude doesn't call me cold while cashing my transfers. The living room held its breath in prickly silence. Marcus finally looked up, eyes red from a hangover. "I didn't know it was that much," he said. "Because you never asked," I answered, no heat added. "You let them pretend money fell from a cousin. Tell them about the job you lost for drinking. Tell them about Sarah leaving after promises evaporated." He swallowed, then nodded, hands opening, nothing inside. "She left," he said, quiet, "and I did drink." The house creaked, siding shifting against Midwestern November wind. "Here are my conditions," I said, voice still steady. "The Bank of Linda is closed, starting tonight. No more mortgage, no more emergencies, no more invisibility. If you want my respect, respect arithmetic and boundaries. If you want my love, stop mistaking me for cash. You will not ask me privately after this speech. You will not send relatives as messengers with casseroles. If you need help, ask advice, not withdrawals or pity." Mom's mouth opened. A protest tried to arrange itself. "This is family," she said, "not some cold ledger." "Exactly," I answered. "So let's make family mean responsibility. It cannot continue meaning me funding everyone's denial." Dad tried again, the peacemaker who never balanced budgets. "We can work together," he said, palms up, pleading. "Then start with honesty about drinking and job hunting," I said. "Start with a realistic budget and therapy appointments scheduled. I want receipts for progress, not purchases or apologies. And if you want me present at gatherings again, you will never call me black sheep publicly again. You will never belittle my work or independence again." Something recalibrated, as if the room found center. I put my phone down, screen dimming obediently. My hands had stopped shaking an argument earlier. Marcus wiped his face, then surprised everyone by speaking. "I used you," he said. "I let them use you." I thought a good heart excused my unfinished responsibilities. "I need help that isn't yours, and I'll get it." Mom finally sat, her coffee cup leaving a ring. She looked smaller without the speech pressed into posture. "I shouldn't have said it," she admitted, eyes glassy. "You are not our black sheep, and I was cruel. In another family, that might have been enough. But ours traded words easily, and receipts rarely. I needed something firmer than apologies, shaped like steam. "Keep the apology," I said. "Show me change choices. Sell the house if the math says sell it. Downsize before the bank teaches downsizing brutally. Marcus, enroll in treatment and share proof monthly. Dad, take the job with benefits, pride included. Mom, stop narrating my life as cautionary for ambition. Tell the truth when people ask how we're doing. Tell them the daughter you called cold paid the mortgage. Tell them she's done paying except for her own future." Aunt Helen spoke carefully, as if learning a language. "We didn't know," she said, "and I'm sorry. I'll stop with the robot jokes and baby comments." I nodded, accepting the smallest of overdue interests. Uncle Bob set down his empty mug decisively. "I can help your dad list equipment properly tomorrow. Got a friend who buys tools fair, not pennies." Dad blinked, then nodded, shoulders lowering fraction by fraction. I gathered my coat while they gathered their thoughts. "I'm leaving now," I said, not angry, only finished. "You can call when there's progress, not panic." Mom stood halfway, then sank back, then reached out. Her hand hovered, a bridge not quite built. "Linda," she said, "will you come Sunday for dinner?" "If there are budgets on the table," I answered. I opened the door, and November answered with clarity. Cold air entered like truth, bracing and precise. Behind me, chairs scraped. Inside, someone began washing dishes. Marcus stepped onto the porch, coatless, breath smoking. "I'll send you proof of the program," he said. "Do that for you, not for me," I answered. He nodded, then actually smiled, small and unspectacular. "Fair," he said. "I think I finally get that." In the driver's seat, I opened the spreadsheet again, not to add lines, but to close the file. I renamed it Boundaries and saved it without password. Then I drove home, every light catching green. The night didn't feel triumphant, only accurately weighted. I wasn't a hero, just a person with limits. But limits change rooms, and rooms change families gradually. Behind me, a ledger balanced. Ahead, a future budgeted. The weeks after Thanksgiving felt quieter, like snow deciding directions. Calls slowed, requests faded, and my apartment learned silence again. I made tea, slept deeply, and noticed ordinary kindness. Dad took the job with benefits and early mornings. "Long day," he wrote, "honest pay," then no complaints. He looked smaller, steadier, like pride exhaling slowly. Mom added hours, then enrolled in classes at night. When we spoke, she asked about books and recipes. For once, she listened without steering me toward Marcus. Marcus sent proof, program meetings, clean weeks, paycheck stubs. "I'm learning budgets," he wrote, and the word no. Sundays returned without emergencies sprinting through the door. We ate earlier, washed dishes sooner, left phones alone. I kept boundaries visible, like place cards set carefully. If money appeared, it came labeled as a loan. Tom and I filled weekends with groceries and small wanderings. He said my laugh sounded freer than last year. One afternoon, Mom invited me to their smaller apartment. "I was cruel," she said, "and I was frightened. I thought money proved failure, then hid behind pride." "I am sorry," she finished, not reaching for excuses. We talked about insurance, calendars, and emergency envelopes. When Marcus arrived, he carried coffee and stayed present. He listened more than he spoke, and thanked twice. Dad described overtime without bragging or asking for help. Mom shared quiz scores, laughing at her shaky handwriting. Marcus showed a chip for 90 meetings and counting. Family is not a bank. Love is not a tab. Dignity begins when stories match receipts and voices align. On Mother's Day, I brought flowers and a boundary. We ate lemon cake, then reviewed the quarter's numbers. Nobody winced. Nobody pretended the ledger wasn't ours. "First rent paid," he wrote, "with money I earned." I answered, "Proud of you," and meant every syllable. Joy arrives easier when guilt isn't holding the door. My paycheck felt mine. My time belonged to me. Hope took up residence without asking me for rent. We planned Thanksgiving with smaller plates and truer blessings. Mom nodded, relieved, and reserved 2 chairs beside mine. That evening, we ate early and spoke slowly, carefully. Dad carved turkey. Marcus poured water, not wine. Mom lifted her cup and found different words, finally. "To honesty," she said, "and to deserving each other." I added, "To boundaries." And everyone chuckled, then agreed. Later, I washed plates while the men wrapped leftovers. We sent containers home labeled clearly by day. That night, I slept without checking my bank alerts. Morning sunlight felt like permission, not another due date. Boundaries held. Love didn't break. It learned new shapes. That night, Tom asked what I wanted next most. "Peace that lasts," I said, "and work I love. Children someday who learn dignity earlier than we did." Forgiveness is a road, not a switch on holidays. We can walk it together and keep steady pace. I will bring boundaries. They will bring their effort. And maybe, finally, we will meet in the middle. Have you ever been called the black sheep at home? Did you set a boundary that changed your family? Share where you're watching from and what you learned today. If this story spoke to you, please like and subscribe. Your comment helps other quiet hearts feel seen and strong. Join our channel for more gentle, true-to-life family stories.